What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Now, on YouTube to a lesser extent, but more so on my Patreon. I've talked about this more on my Patreon. I was telling you from my perspective, and I know you might be like, well, who the fuck are you? You just some nigga on YouTube talking, right? But I was saying, from my perspective, for the first real time, because you've always had people say, "Oh, we're headed to World War III, we're headed to World War III," but a lot of times that was just people just wanting attention, or you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you see on YouTube clickbait, stuff like that. But with the recent events, Ukraine and Russia, now of course Israel and Palestine. Then of course we have increased tensions with countries like Iran and North Korea. The sparks are in place for something that could smolder and burn and then turn into the inferno that would be World War III. Not saying that it's going to happen, not even saying that it will happen or that it's likely to happen, but that's something that in today's world we couldn't afford to have happen. The potential death toll would make World War I and World War II look like child's play. So, in this particular video, I say all that to say, you don't have to believe me. You have to listen to me. Listen to someone who is an actual documented historian named Peter Kuznick. All right? Now, this article is from TMZ. I was going to talk about this yesterday, but I held off. So, Peter Kuznick fears for the fate of humanity, warning of a third world war and a potential nuclear winter if conflicts across the globe continue to escalate. The author and American University professor joined TMZ Live yesterday, and they asked him just how close we are to World War III given the war in the Middle East. He said things were already trending towards a doomsday scenario as a result of the war between Ukraine and Russia and the situation in Taiwan, and he fears recent developments in Gaza may push things over the edge. Now, if you heard me talk about this on my Patreon, I told you what's to say now that the United States is so preoccupied with the war in Ukraine, the war in Israel and Palestine, with our resources drained, with our funding drained, with our attention diverted to these countries. What's to say of China, who was once our great ally, but now is becoming increasingly more hostile toward us, right? What's to stop China from invading Taiwan? He brings this up. But yet, I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just here to make funny voices and make you laugh like a monkey. But anyway, the way Peter sees a nightmare situation unfolding, Israel invades Palestine, forcing Hezbollah to join the war, and then other countries are drawn into battle. From there, Peter says it's an all-out world war, and it's pretty much guaranteed nuclear warheads will be used. Peter explains how even a small number of nukes could create a nuclear winter capable of killing 2 billion people across the globe, telling us it would be worse than ever imagined. With the United States mobilizing warships, aircraft, and troops to help Israel, Peter says humanity is sitting on the proverbial powder keg, but he's got some solutions to avoid cataclysm. Yeah. A lot of times we've always said that if there was going to be a World War III, then most likely what would kick it off would probably be some sort of conflict in the Middle East. and Israel, Palestine, whatever. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I remember back when I was in high school, things had gotten so bad between India and Pakistan. I think it was India and Pakistan back in the mid to late 90s. That I think back in 1997, they had actually gotten pretty fucking close to using nukes against each other. Not say close. I don't mean like their fingers were on the button and some dramatic movie type scenario, but the tensions were escalating. Sometimes we've even had close calls. If I remember, in 1990, if I remember correctly, in 1995, this is when Boris Yeltsin was president of Russia. The Russian government were debating whether to launch a nuke at us because their radar had picked up what they were initially thinking was a nuclear warhead, right? But it was like, this doesn't make sense. Why would they launch a nuke? We haven't done anything, no aggression. This can't be. And I've read that Yeltsin actually had the nuclear football on his desk, ready to launch to launch the codes that would have signaled their military to launch the missiles. But what actually happened was their radar had picked up geese or birds or something. No. I think it was no. That's not what it was. It was a weather balloon. It was actually a weather balloon that they mistook for a missile. And of course, the closest we've ever come to a nuclear war was, of course, back in 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, fate has intervened a few times in our favor, man. But this right here is a serious situation that needs to be monitored, and hopefully, this thing doesn't get out of hand. Hopefully, this thing doesn't get out of hand. So that's all I got to say about it, man. Tell me what you guys think.